So with the exception of a few seats, the 2021 F1 grid is more or less decided. Sainz to Ferrari, Vettel to Aston Martin, Perez potentially out of the seat, and there's been a lot of outrage and debates going on when the topic of driver transfers has been brought up so far. So I thought it'd be fun to take a look at the drivers available and create my dream 2021 lineup, taking any and all drivers available regardless of current contracts and just making what I think would be an incredible grid for 2021. It will be a dream lineup, but I have tried to keep it as realistic as I can, or at least create somewhat of a reason or a story for each driver to move, and it is loosely based on the original 2021 lineup, but there are a few changes that don't really make sense that I've tried to sort of cover up with some BS. Anyway, let me talk you through the grid. Starting with Mercedes, and in this universe Hamilton has re-signed with Merc for 2021 in a bid to get that record-breaking 8th World Championship before calling it a day ahead of 2022. This is probably what will happen in real life, but at the moment, at the time of recording at least, there's no contract and he could well retire. He could pull a Rosberg. But, you know, why? Why would he do that? Anyway, that's the topic for another video. I'm getting sidetracked. Partnering the 7-time champion, I have not chosen Valtteri Bottas. Instead, I've gone with what I think is genuinely the best choice for Mercedes, and I've put George Russell alongside Hamilton. With Ferrari, Red Bull and McLaren putting their resources behind their young drivers, Mercedes needs to do the same, and who better for Russell to learn from than the most successful driver in the history of the sport. Also, as a side note, a Hamilton-Russell championship fight would just be phenomenal to watch. And the Red Bull team, the team that has been the centre point for most of the transfer drama in 2020, Max Verstappen retains his seat as you'd expect, having signed a life sentence to that team back in 2016. And to partner him, it isn't Alex Albon and it isn't Sergio Perez. If you know me, you'll know who I've chosen already. It's my favourite driver, potentially still in contention for that Red Bull seat, but is looking less and less likely by the day. It's Nico Hülkenberg. Obviously Perez deserves that seat more, but in this dream lineup of mine, the chance to see Hülkenberg finally in a top team and finally potentially get a podium, it's just too much to turn down. Come on Red Bull, just make it happen. Just please. You know what, at this stage, you don't have to sign Hülkenberg, just announce someone. Just please put an end to this fucking season. Moving on to McLaren and a team that will be powered by Mercedes engines next season. Lando Norris, Twitch streamer and part-time F1 driver, will stay at the team after a solid season and first career podium in Austria. And joining him, it's not going to be Daniel Ricciardo, who is scheduled to be for 2021. And it will not be Carlos Sainz. Following his lost chance in Bahrain to drive for Mercedes and losing his 2021 seat to the same person, I'm saying Stoffel Van Dorn leaves the Mercedes program and returns to his former team to make it a McLaren prodigy lineup. With Van Dorn's experience with the Merc engine and a much better overall car since the Honda days, I feel like these two would be a pretty strong pairing. Van Dorn had a pretty weak end to his F1 career back in 2018? I think it was 18. And despite popular belief, I don't think he's as bad as he was made out to be against Alonso. At a newly named Aston Martin team, formerly Racing Point, we have a completely different lineup to the real 2021 grid. Deservingly so, Sergio Perez retains his drive with the team after his best season of his career and his and the team's first win. And joining Sergio Perez at Aston Martin, it's not someone who you'd probably expect, but I've picked someone I also feel like has had one of the strongest seasons in Formula 1. I've gone with Daniel Ricciardo, originally at Renault, would have been McLaren, but now Aston Martin. Maybe with the exception of the Mercedes team, I do feel like this would be the strongest lineup on the grid, with two of the top 5 drivers of 2020. I'd absolutely love to see these two battle out on equal machinery, which is why I put these two at Aston Martin for 2021. At the rebranded and seemingly on the rise Alpine team, Daniel Ricciardo has left for Aston Martin, and replacing him as the number 1 driver will not be Fernando Alonso, and it won't be Esteban Ocon. Fernando Alonso doesn't make a return in this dream lineup because he's had his time. There's young talent waiting in the wings. There's been a lot of rumours during the 2020 season, and in this reality they proved to be correct, as one of the stars for 2020, Pierre Gasly, joins Alpine. Getting out of the Red Bull programme unlike Kvyat and joining a manufacturer team in a bid to race at the front of the midfield on a consistent basis and develop the car into a race winning position. Joining F1's second newest race winner, I've chosen the person who I believe should have been chosen over Fernando Alonso for 2021. The Renault development driver and first F2 driver on this list, Guan Yu Zhou. I think that's how you say it. I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with that pronunciation. Someone who I do rate quite highly on the F2 grid, and with Gasly as a teammate with a reasonable amount of experience at this stage, would be a good chance to get him some experience in F1 and test how he does ahead of the 2022 reg change. At Ferrari, Charles Leclerc has stuck around for another season after a phenomenal 2020, a season performance I don't think has got nearly enough credit as it should, and with Vettel not able to get that Aston Martin seat, he waves goodbye to Formula 1 after a torrent final season, leaving Carlos Sainz to take his place, much like in real life. Leclerc is another driver who I see as in the top 5 of the current grid, so I'm intrigued to see what Sainz can do against him given how he's been on the edge of being a top driver for a few seasons now. On to Alpha Tauri, and it's a somewhat predictable lineup, but still a strong one nonetheless. Alex Albon is demoted to Alpha Tauri after a troublesome, to say the least, 2020, but thanks to Gasly vacating the Red Bull program, a seat becomes available for the Thai driver, and he's able to regain his confidence. Hopefully. Partnering him is the highly anticipated and highly regarded Yuki Tsunoda, the strongest driver in my opinion from the F2 season, especially considering he's a rookie. So for me, Albon and Tsunoda to AlphaTauri for 2021 and Verstappen and Tsunoda for 2022, where Tsunoda's career will most likely be destroyed. And just as a side note, at the time of me recording this, about 2 hours ago, Tsunoda was actually announced for AlphaTauri, so I got it right. It was obvious, but I still got it right. Now, deciding the lineup for the bottom 3 teams was actually pretty difficult. However, one thing that wasn't a difficult decision was getting rid of Kimi Raikkonen and Antonio Giovinazzi. Raikkonen due to a long-awaited retirement, and Giovinazzi due to the ever-growing young talent in F2. However, for these 3 teams, I've tried to give each one an experienced driver and an up-and-coming driver as well. So for Alfa Romeo, I've gone with Esteban Ocon. Now hear me out. Likewise with Van Dorn, after losing out on the Merc seat to Russell, he leaves the Mercedes family and finds himself a seat at Alfa Romeo as a quick and experienced driver to help develop the underperforming car. Plus, with an arguably underwhelming return to Formula 1 in 2020, there were just better drivers available for the bigger teams. And alongside him, as much as I don't particularly like him, I've gone with Ferrari choosing the F2 champion Mick Schumacher for that second seat, since Ferrari get to decide the seat for Alfa and Haas. To be honest, Schumacher could have gone to either team, but I feel as the slightly better car, he should be at Alfa Romeo. Now for Haas, they clearly need money, dropping both Grosjean and Magnussen in favour of a young talent and a huge cash. To be fair, I'm not wrong. Although having a crash injection when you replace Grosjean and Magnussen, that's big shoes to fill. Dropping both Grosjean and Magnussen in favour of young talent and a huge cash injection. I said it right that time. In the number 2 seat, I've chosen Robert Schwartz. That is more difficult to say than I thought it was. In the number 2 seat, I've chosen Robert Schwartzman. I think that's right. These F2 drivers' names are really difficult to say. Someone that could have very easily found his way into F1 for 2021 had the seats been available. So with the young talent decided, Haas need an injection of cash, and thankfully it won't be Nikita Mazepin. Not in this dream lineup, no chance. It's going to be a pay driver with a little bit more talent and experience under his belt. I've gone with Lance Stroll. He may be a pay driver and be less deserving of an Aston Martin seat than Perez, but in my dream lineup he goes to a team that needs the money a hell of a lot more and can potentially be a lead driver. Plus, I feel like with the drivers that already have a seat in the higher up teams above him, I feel like Haas is a good place for him. And finally, we have the Williams team. Russell is gone and Latifi has gone off to Formula E, most likely, where he belongs after Williams have rinsed him of his money. In this reality, in exchange for Mercedes taking Rosberg, Bottas and now Russell over the years, it's a straight switch between Russell and Bottas. Oh, that's going to offend some people. Giving Williams some Mercedes experience to hopefully improve that absolute dog of a car. Alongside that experience, we have some young talent in the form of Callum Ilott, F2 runner-up and fellow countryman to the team. Potentially, Ilott leaves the Ferrari Driver Academy after losing a seat to Schwartzman, so seeks out his own drive at Williams. I know Williams normally go for a pay driver with money, and Ilott has stated in real life that he just doesn't have the funds for F2 anymore. But let's just, it's a dream lineup. Use your imagination. Like, Mercedes have given them money to take Bottas, and they can just use your imagination. Don't take it too seriously. So that is my dream lineup for 2021. Obviously, it isn't going to happen, but I think if it did, that would be an unbelievable grid. Let me know what you think of my dream lineup, any changes you'd make, or maybe if you think any could actually happen in the future. Or if you want to rewrite the entire grid, feel free. As long as Hulkenberg's somewhere in the lineup, I'll like it if you put it in the comment section. I've got a lot of content planned now that the season is over, and I'm also working on another F1 game review, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of that to come. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Guan Yu Zhou. Guan Yu Zhou. Guan Yu Zhou. Okay, I think I've got it. Guan Yu Zhou. Yes, I've got it.